Pisces. You may have felt this for a while now, not through logic, not through clear explanations, but through something harder to name, as if life has been whispering to you in its own quiet language. A sentence you overhear somewhere, landing at the exact moment you were already thinking about it. An old song suddenly playing, carrying memories you thought had long fallen asleep. A dream that comes and goes, leaving a deep echo inside you, even though you cannot remember every detail when you wake up. These moments repeat themselves, softly, persistently, like small ripples on still water. Pisces often wonders if they are reading too much into things, if maybe everything is just coincidence. But deep in your heart, you know that is not entirely true. Because some signals do not knock once and disappear. They return, in different forms, at different times, yet they always carry the same familiar feeling, the feeling that something wants to be heard. The universe does not speak in words. It does not explain. It does not persuade. It does not argue. It simply arranges. And Pisces, with your sensitive heart and natural intuition, is often the first to notice those arrangements. Not because you are smarter than others, but because you are quiet enough to feel. While the world around you is loud, you can still hear the softest sounds. Perhaps you have ignored these signs before. Perhaps you told yourself you were just tired, too emotional, overthinking. But the signals did not disappear. They simply waited. They waited for you to slow down enough, to be honest enough with yourself, to be brave enough not to immediately dismiss what you feel. What matters is this: these signals are not here to scare you. They are not warnings of something terrible. They arrive as a gentle reminder that you are standing at a crossroads in your life, a place where old questions can no longer answer, the new person quietly forming inside you, a place where the way you see yourself, your worth, and life itself is slowly shifting. Pisces gives so much. You listen, you understand, you carry other people's emotions as if they were your own. And because of that, you sometimes forget that you also need to be heard. These repeating signals are an invitation to return inward, not to blame yourself, not to analyze what is right or wrong, but simply to sit with yourself in silence and feel what truly matters right now. There is something deeply beautiful about Pisces, the ability to find meaning, even in the smallest moments. A glance, a pause, a vague feeling. Any of these can become a key to deeper understanding. And that is why, when the signals begin to appear more often, more clearly, you do not need to rush to decode them. You only need to allow yourself to stay with the feeling a little longer, because sometimes the message is not in the answer. It is in your willingness to stop and listen. And when you do, you realize that what is coming to you is not random. It arrives exactly when you need it most. Even if you cannot yet name that need, a very subtle movement is taking place. Quiet, unshowy, yet powerful enough to change the way you walk into the days ahead. And as you begin to notice this, the world around you starts speaking in a different way, closer, clearer, and more honestly to who you truly are. But what is strange is this: that moment rarely comes with strength or certainty. Instead, it appears when you are at your most fragile, when you are no longer sure you are walking in the right direction, when you look back at past choices and quietly wonder if you missed something along the way. It might happen on a very ordinary evening, when you are sitting still, feeling tired for no clear reason, or in a moment when you realize you have tried so hard, yet still cannot find a clear answer to what has been weighing on your heart. Pisces often believes They must wait until everything feels more stable, until they feel stronger, until they understand more. Only then, they think, will they be ready to receive something important? But life rarely works that way. The moments that change us the most do not arrive when we are fully prepared. They come when you are questioning, when you feel out of rhythm, when you are no longer tightly holding on to old images of who you thought you had to be. There is a deeper reason for this. When you feel unready, the familiar armor begins to thin. The expectations you have carried, the roles you have forced yourself to maintain, they slowly become too heavy to hold. And it is only in that state that you can hear something real, unfiltered by the fear of needing to appear fine, uncovered by the need to control everything. This message does not ask you to do anything immediately. It does not rush you. It does not command you. It simply exists, like a soft light in a dark room, just enough to show you where you are standing. You may feel confused. You may wonder why this arrives at the exact moment you feel the most unsettled. But deep inside, a part of you understands something quietly. If it had come earlier, you might not have heard it. And if it had come later, you might have traveled too far, away from yourself. Pisces does not need to prove readiness. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need to know the outcome in advance. The only thing being invited here is the sensitivity that has always lived within you. The ability to feel the faintest vibrations. The ability to stay with an emotion without pushing it away. The ability to admit uncertainty and understand that it does not make you weak, only more real. Within that confusion, a seed is quietly beginning to grow. A new awareness of who you are, of what you truly need, of what you have endured for far too long. And when you allow yourself to stop needing to be ready, to stop needing to be strong, in the old way, you begin to see something clearly, that this very softness is the doorway through which what truly matters can finally enter your life fully and honestly. And then, in a moment when you think you are only listening to something ordinary, something gently touches you from the inside. Not loudly, not forcefully, just a feeling that makes you pause. Like when a single sentence suddenly softens your chest. Like when an old memory returns, no longer sharp, yet still powerful enough to leave you silent. You may not want to admit it right away. Your first instinct might be to avoid it, to tell yourself you are fine, that it happened a long time ago. But your body does not lie, and neither does your heart. This truth does not arrive to hurt you again. It comes very close, very slowly, as if it is watching, waiting to see whether you feel safe enough to look at it directly. And when you allow yourself to stay with that feeling, even for just a few seconds, you realize something important. What makes you stop is not pain. It is clarity, a kind of clarity you never had enough silence to feel before. There are fears you have carried for so long that you no longer remember where they first began. There are old wounds covered by busyness, by responsibility, by the habit of always being strong for others. But when this truth touches you, it does not pull you back into the past to assign blame. It simply asks, gently, why you had to endure things alone, why you chose silence instead of speaking, why you believed you had to sacrifice your own feelings to keep everything calm. Pisces is often very good at understanding others, yet much harder on themselves. You easily see the reasons behind those who hurt you, but you struggle to accept that you, too, have the right to feel pain, the right to be weak, the right to be protected. When this truth appears, It is not here to expose anyone's fault. It opens a new perspective, one where you begin to see that what happened was not because you were not enough, but because at the time you did not yet know how to place yourself where you truly belonged. In that moment, your eyes may sting slightly, or your chest may feel heavier for a breath or two. And yet, alongside that feeling, there is a strange sense of relief, as if you finally understand why you became the person you are today, why you are sensitive, why you are easily moved, why you always search for deeper meaning in everything. None of it is random. All of it has roots. And when this truth is seen, not through judgment, but through gentleness, you no longer need to run. Something inside you begins to settle, a quiet acceptance, a feeling that the past, even with its scars, has contributed to the depth you carry today. From here, the way you see yourself starts to shift very softly, not to become someone else, but to stand for the first time on your own side with everything you have lived through. And when you begin to stand on your own side like that, something quietly unexpected happens. Not that the world suddenly changes, but the way you feel about yourself does. You stop measuring yourself by standards you have carried for so long. You stop scanning for what others think, what they expect, what they need from you. A pause appears, deep enough for you to hear your own inner voice more clearly. At this point, the message is no longer about what happened or the circumstances that once hurt you. It begins to touch who you truly are, gently, yet unmistakably, as if someone places a mirror in front of you, not to judge, only to let you see. And in that moment, you notice what you used to overlook: the quiet efforts, the times you stood back up after being hurt without anyone knowing, the moments you chose kindness even when you were deeply exhausted. Pisces is so used to giving that you sometimes forget. You yourself are of value. You easily see the light in others, yet hesitate when it comes to seeing your own. Now, this awakening does not arrive as a loud declaration. It comes as a very real feeling that you no longer need to prove yourself. You do not need to become someone else to be worthy. You are already worthy, even in moments of confusion, even when you are imperfect, even while you are still learning how to understand yourself. As this awareness begins to take root, the way you treat yourself changes quietly. You start noticing your own limits. You allow yourself to rest without guilt. You listen to your body. You listen to your emotions, instead of forcing yourself to continue just because you fear disappointing others. You may not yet have a name for this shift, but you can feel it. You are softer with yourself than you used to be, and something almost miraculous happens. When you begin to honor your inner value, the outer world reflects it back in subtle ways. Relationships no longer depend on one-sided sacrifice. Choices begin to feel more aligned, even if they are not always easy. You stop trying to squeeze yourself into places where you are not truly valued. Because deep down, you deserve connections that are sincere. This awakening does not make you distant or cold. On the contrary, it makes you warmer. But it is a warmth with boundaries, a kindness that no longer comes at the cost of hurting yourself. And as you move forward with this new awareness, a deep sense of calm appears, not because every question has been answered, but because you no longer doubt your own worth while searching for those answers. And in that quiet, you begin to notice something very subtle. There is no thunder, no clear marker, to announce that something has changed. Everything happens so softly that without paying attention, you might think nothing is different at all. But, you feel it in the way you breathe, in the way you respond to familiar situations, in moments where you once wavered, and now you do not. This movement does not need a name. It does not ask you to announce to the world that you are different now. It simply unfolds, quietly, like water soaking into the ground. After a long rain, from the inside, your thoughts begin to shift. Questions that once consumed you no longer take over your mind. Old worries still appear, but they no longer control you the way they used to. There is a gentle distance between you and those emotions, just enough so you are not pulled under. Pisces intuition becomes clearer now, but in a very soft way. Not urgent, not demanding immediate action. It feels like a deep, slow knowing, a knowing of what fits you and what does not. You begin to trust your first impressions instead of rushing to doubt them. And as you trust this way, your energy changes too. No longer scattered, no longer pulled in too many directions. It becomes more focused, quieter, steadier. Others may not notice this change yet. You may not even have words for it yourself. But inside, you are leaving an old version of you behind. The version that endured more than was necessary. The version that believed emotions had to be sacrificed to keep everything stable. The version that was used to placing themselves last. You do not blame that version. You understand. It did the best it could with what it knew at the time, but you also know you no longer need to live that way. This leaving carries no resentment. It happens with quiet gratitude. Gratitude for everything you learned. Gratitude for the scars that helped you grow. And it is this gratitude that makes the transformation gentler. You do not drag the past behind you. You do not try to cut it away either. You simply set it down where it belongs and continue forward with lighter hands. In very ordinary moments, you will notice yourself responding differently. You explain less. You stop trying to please everyone. You no longer stay in spaces that make you shrink. And this does not make you distant. It makes you more present in the places that truly belong to you. This quiet movement, even if unseen by anyone else, is very real. It is shaping the way you step into the days ahead, the way you choose, the way you love, the way you trust. And as you continue to move with this new rhythm, you begin to see something clearly. There are doors that do not need to be forced open. They open on their own when you are no longer the same person standing in front of them. And when those doors open in such a natural way, you do not step through them with impulse or urgency. You enter differently, slower, steadier, as if somewhere inside you, a new compass has already formed, not to give you instant directions, but to help you recognize which paths no longer fit. And that recognition alone is enough to change the entire journey ahead. The message you receive now does not come as specific advice. It does not tell you who to love, who to leave, which job to choose, or what to give up. It simply places you in a deeper understanding of yourself, an understanding that some relationships were once important but no longer nourish you the way they used to, an understanding that certain ways of making a living once helped you survive but slowly drained your spirit, an understanding that some paths were taken out of familiarity, not because they still align with who you are becoming, Pisces feels everything deeply, yet often doubts those feelings. Now, that begins to change, not through a dramatic shift in belief, but through very human moments. A moment when you choose silence instead of explanation. A moment when you decline what no longer feels right, even when no one pressures you. A moment when you choose rest instead of trying to prove yourself. These small choices gather quietly, forming a new direction, not loud, but unmistakably clear. In love, you begin to sense the difference between connection rooted in understanding and attachment born from habit or the fear of being alone. You no longer seek validation. By trading away your emotions, you pay closer attention to the feeling of peace when you are with someone rather than the rush, mixed with anxiety. And if a relationship does not offer that peace, you no longer blame yourself for wanting to walk away. You understand that love does not have to mean endurance. In matters of money and the path you walk in life, the shift is just as quiet. You begin to ask questions, not only about how much you earn, but about the inner cost. You wonder whether this work respects your value, whether this rhythm of life gives you space to breathe, or slowly pulls you farther from yourself. And even if the answers are not yet fully clear, you know one thing for certain: you cannot continue down old roads simply because you fear uncertainty. What is remarkable is this new direction does not make you feel lost. On the contrary, it feels familiar, as if you are returning to a version of yourself that was once left behind. The road ahead may not be mapped out. There may still be questions without answers, but you are no longer rushing to find them outside of yourself. You allow them to arrive when you are quiet enough to recognize them. And in that stillness, you realize something essential. You do not need to go back to fix the past. You do not need to explain old decisions again. You only need to keep moving forward with a new understanding of yourself and a deeper respect for your own feelings. Some paths, once crossed, cannot be walked the same way again, not because they were wrong, but because you are no longer the same person. As you move with this difference, the world does not instantly change its shape, but the way it responds to you does. Opportunities begin to appear in places you once overlooked. Encounters feel more timely, more aligned. And even in the challenges that remain, you no longer feel alone, because now you are standing on your own side. And when you stand firmly there, each step ahead, even when slow, carries a gentle certainty that you are moving in the right direction, in your own way. And when you arrive here, after all those quiet movements, there is something very gentle that needs to be said, not as a reminder, but like a soft touch on your shoulder, just enough to help you pause for a moment and return to what you are feeling inside. Because throughout this journey, you have heard many things from the outside world and from within yourself. The question now is no longer about right or wrong. It is about whether you allow yourself to trust what you are feeling. Pisces often has the habit of doubting their own intuition. You feel quickly, you feel deeply, yet you easily wonder if you are imagining too much. You fear that if you trust that feeling, you might be wrong, you might get hurt, you might have to pay a price. But what you are learning now is not blind belief. It is gentle trust. Trusting the patterns that repeat. Trusting the sense of peace when something is right for you. Trusting the heaviness that appears when you are forcing yourself to move against your own nature. This final message does not ask you to change everything right away. It does not demand a big decision. It does not require an announcement to the world. It simply invites you to do something very simple and very brave. Do not rush to deny what you are feeling. When you feel sad, allow yourself to be sad without self-blame. When something feels off, listen instead of forcing yourself to be strong. When you sense that something no longer fits, trust that this feeling has a reason to exist. You may not yet have a name for the road ahead. You may still have moments of uncertainty, days that feel unsteady. But if this touches you, if something inside you quietly nods as you listen, that tells you something important. You are more ready than you think. Not ready to know every answer, but ready to stop turning away from yourself. Your intuition is not a loud voice. It does not rush you. It does not scare you. It does not throw you into panic. It usually arrives very softly, like a current moving beneath the surface. And this time, that current is guiding you toward what is more honest, more sustainable, toward relationships built on respect, toward choices that do not require you to make yourself smaller, toward a rhythm of life where peace is not something you must sacrifice just to survive. When you allow yourself to trust in this way, you begin to see something clearly. Life does not need to be perfect to be meaningful. It only needs to be real. And you, with all your sensitivity, your depth, and your compassion, have always had the ability to walk this path, not through hardness, but through understanding, not by moving faster than others, but by moving in your own rhythm. And if you are hearing these final words, remember this: you are not lost. You are simply learning to trust your own unique light, a light that does not blind, but is warm enough to illuminate each step. And as you continue walking with that trust, the road ahead, even with its unknowns, will slowly reveal itself in the gentlest way, meant just for you.